Hello everybody and welcome to another Locals Long Play. This week I'm playing my Wind Byakko Guoja updated deck that I updated after the Pennsylvania Regional. If you want to see the deck list, definitely check out the card above. I'm playing against Wind Shadow Strike Tristan. It proved to be a pretty good match, so I hope you enjoy. As always, before we get started, please remember that this is Locals. We will make mistakes. We will ask for advice. We will take plays back. This isn't a super competitive endeavor, so keep an open mind as you take a look at our plays. If you have tips and advice, it is welcome, but please keep an open mind. We're not here to make all the optimal plays. Locals is about having a good time. So with that, let's get to the games. So we are getting started. Myself on Wind Byakko versus Wind Shadow Strike Tristan. I knew that my opponent was playing Tristan, so some of this might influence that. They are on Looking Glass. Taking a look at my opening hand, I see a Kind Beast Caller there. I see a Forest Cake. Oh, it's a Fluffy Shopkeep, actually, excuse me. I see a Forest Cake. A lot of good stuff to like in my opener. I believe I lost the die roll here. Yeah, looks like my opponent's going to be going first. And it is the turn 1 Unmake Duality. Thankfully, I did add Incapacitate to the deck, so I have my turn 1 Incapacitate back on top of that. Very, very strong play in situations like this. I'm going second, though, so I won't get a Recollect, so I'm just going to lay 3 for a Fairy Whispers. See double ASIN in there. Definitely don't need double ASIN, so let's add 1 to the bottom and then draw into that, that next card, which is a Forest Cake, and pass the turn. Opponent levels up into Tristan. Oh yeah, I'm snacking, by the way. I hope that doesn't bother anybody. I'm snacking during this game. I was famished. So yeah, Incap came in clutch. Opponent goes to Tristan using Reclaim from Memory. So the negated Unmake Duality plus the hard level means my opponent's not going to be on terribly much influence this game, which is great for me. Imbues double Stifling Trap to make a Windmill Engineer. That's going to be 1 at me. Pretty straightforward. Double Stifling Trap is very strong against this deck. It's definitely something I'm going to have to keep in mind. And then I elect to level up as well, even though I didn't, I kind of -1'd by 1-for-1ing with that Innervate Agility, or not Innervate Agility, Incapacitate against the Unmake. I just figured it was the thing to do. And then as I go to Recollect here, my opponent is going to reclaim the Windmill just before I can do something like a Stifling Trap or something to inhibit that reclaim. Makes sense. Okay, looking at my hand here, not a ton. Like my only call it value creature is Fluffy here. So I could play that, or I could play the Cake and try to start generating value out of that. Drawing into a Verdigris. Taking a look at what it would be like if I laid 4. I can't play anything else if I lay 4, even if I draw with the Cake. So it's probably just a wait and see. Maybe use the Fate Stone on the Cake. I guess the alternative here is to just play the Fluffy or the Grow Sword. Yeah, not entirely sure what the best play would be here. There's a lot of options. I do like a pass as well. I think activate Fate Stone on Forest Cake is, more than fine. Tristan isn't super fast. My opponent's not on a ton of influence since the Unmake got negated, so I think there's a good chance I can just play a little slower here. Windmill Engineer comes down. Opponent's starting to get some of that advantage back, Windmill Reclaim being a +1. Though, notably, she didn't use the Reclaim. So I might have an opportunity to try to snatch that. I'm thinking about activating the Fate Stone, but watching this kind of from overhead now, I think just making a Thurible is probably the best play. Get rid of that Reclaim Engrave. Buying Terrafring. Usually I like to Terrafring on a turn I'm going to try to ASIN Protector, and I have to mostly go hands down to do it. Make it hard to kill my ASIN, but I do go for Thurible. Okay, yeah, I like this. Just can't really play anything, so I lay for 4. Not sure why I didn't lay for 5. I guess it didn't matter. Still not a ton of heat in the hand. Baby green would be great here. I could flicker the forest cake and then ace in it back. It looks like I'm going to go 3 down, and it might just be... Okay, it is the fluffy. Versus Tristan, it's a pretty easy remove of... I went to go for Censor, but like Censor sometimes does something. Nullifying and Safeguard seem like no-brainers versus Tristan to remove from the material deck. And I go for the Windmill, and I'm actually surprised that I got it. I guess they had already banished a Reclaim to go to level 1 and also played a Reclaim, so that would have to be 3 Reclaims drawn. I don't even know if Tristan's on 4 Reclaims sometimes. So I guess that attack makes sense. And if they were going to do it, they were going to do it anyways. I'm going backup chargers, trying to get some of that influence back. Pretty successful, I would say. I'm definitely, like, that is one thing about this deck. It can apply pressure, but it needs the right tools to apply that pressure. I need to find Baby Green so I can start looping Tengu and Fate Stone to get quest counters to really put a lot of pressure. Or I need to find, like, Zhang Jiao plus Scattering Gusts so I can keep my hand plentiful and be doing multiple suppresses in, like, pre-recollection. Okay, so we're looking at Windbless Lookout. My opponent's getting quite a few prep counters here. Another Windbless Lookout. I can't quite read the die from here. Maybe I should be tracking prep on the overlay. But that has to be like at least 5 prep, right? So that's getting a little scary. Chip damage starting to pile up too. I think as a Tristan player, it's very important to pile up chip damage. You want to be as, you know, like, insulated with your lethal as possible. Grovesword eat cake, and then Boots trigger. Grovesword eat cake. Yeah, I guess that's good. I have 0 quest counters right now, so getting pressure is important. One thing I learned at the regional is versus decks like Win Tristan, you want to make her spend some resource. If you both just build resource with each other, you are losing. You know, because eventually she'll just be able to always hold up an answer and work her way towards killing you. And you can kind of do the same, but her answers are a lot more permanent than your answers. So yeah, getting on board like this is exactly... I should have had this Ace-in down 2 turns ago, honestly. Just play the Grovesword, prereq, turn it into an Ace-in. I think I should have been on board way faster this game. I'm thinking about something on this Ace-in protector. Ensnaring Fumes. Bending prep? Okay, that's really good for us. If they were at 5 prep there, or even 6, they're going down below 4 prep, so level up doesn't look great here. Notably, this was a Fumes in response to the Ace-in on-enter. You don't want to do it in response to the Ace-in cast. We talked about that for a second. Because if you do it in response to the Ace-in cast, I can quick activate the Grovesword that's going to return to my hand. Or if I had another fast activate creature in hand, I could have kept the Ace-in in play. So that Fumes was in response to Ace-in's on-enter, which I think I was just targeting Fluffy with. We are still going to go to Tristan level 2 from my opponent. There is a float. So I guess in some way the Fumes made it so you're not drawing 2. But it also gives you a card back, kind of, by being a float. Losing the DG hurts. And then, yeah, that's just a draw 1 for the Hired Blade on enter, not a draw 2. Not sure I like that line in aggregate. I was coming in for a lot, though. I was coming in for like 7 if that Fumes didn't go off. I also got to take out a Windbless before the Fumes came out, so it might have been better for my opponent if the Fumes came a little earlier to save both of their own Windblasts. But I don't know, it gets a little funky. I hadn't played the Ace-in yet. More chip damage. Slice and Dice looking like a valid option here. You know, that it is 9 damage by itself. I'm only at 19. And so kind of seeing that, I'm going to start taking up my quest counters. That was an end of main phase. One thing you really want to know about with this deck is you get a window of opportunity at the end of your opponent's main phase. And if you have, if you are, you know, inclined to, you can suppress something on board, either your own or your opponent's. And because it's, you know, until the beginning of the next end step, that end of main is a window where you can suppress it and get it back on the end step, which is what I did with the Tengu there to get it to on enter and have it in play. The downside of that is you do go back to your opponent's main phase and they have opportunity again. So if they have something that they were, you know, hesitant to play because you might have an answer and you laid cards, you may find yourself in a position where now they can just like go for it. Grove Sword came down just to keep the board wide. And Beast Caller was a whiff, unfortunately. Does happen. I did go down 1 total animal with this new version of the deck, so Kind Beast Caller a little more likely to whiff. That said, I still think it's a 4 of. I still think it's a huge part of this deck's engine, and I wouldn't change that. I'm doing some counting here. Let me take a look at my hand. I still have that Asin. I guess I'm seeing how many cards would I have left in hand if I Asin'd, and what would that allow me to do. My Fate Stone's already used up. Looks like I am sending it. We talked about this interaction. I think this was a pretty key point in the game. My opponent could have Stifling Trapped the Kind Beast Caller there, though I was 3 in hand behind. So actually, if you're watching this, I did have a Displace in hand there. So if you went for the Stifling Trap on the Kind Beast Caller, I would have been able to displace it in response, and I would have gotten an extra animal to hand and wasted your Stifling Trap. So I think actually it wasn't a misplay to not be, you know, to not go for that Stifling Trap. So the interaction we just saw there was she was trying to go for a Stifling Trap on the Grove Sword just to lay cards and get some value out of it. But then after a reminder that the Grove Sword is a 2/3 once I'm level 1, it ended up instead being Topsy Decree to just make me discard a card. Kind of the same effect. It's still a 1-for-1. It's just not as board relevant of a 1-for-1. And this was so she could lay cards to go to Shadow Reaver. But that is a pay 3 from memory for Shadow Reaver. And influence is looking pretty low for my opponent here. I think this is the only game of the set that she goes Shadow Reaver, because Shadow Reaver doesn't really do a whole lot in in the matchup. All you get is like Horses and Zephyrs. Like they're not bad cards. They're just not like DGs and draw spells and things that you might want to be looking for from other Guoja decks. Mastermind Scheme does resolve here. I don't think I had the cards for the end cap, because I know I have the end cap somewhere in my... Yeah, I had laid it. I was only on 4 cards. No reason to hold an end cap when you're only on 4 cards. What am I on? 3 quest counters here. The agility resolved. I cracked the Tengu. And I mean, I still don't have a lot of quest counters. But I'm going Effigy of Gaia here. I guess it's go time. How many Brisk Windtrotters do I have? So I have like 2 Brisk Windtrotters here. This is definitely a pretty worthwhile play. Already got you to 11. I can really start beating down. I have a Displace as well. Yeah, Brisk Windtrotter makes sense after the Effigy of Gaia. Targeting the Grove Sword. I knew my opponent had a Stifling Trap because we saw 2 with the Windmill Imbues earlier. But even if the Stifling Trap comes for the horse, Displace on the horse is kind of a blowout here. So Not only do we dodge the Stifling Trap, I freaking love Displace in this deck. Not only do we dodge the Stifling Trap, we get a second on enter of the Brisk Windtrotter. So if you're not familiar with how this interaction works, the Brisk Windtrotter on enter is on the stack, and the Stifling Trap has to resolve on the unit that it was targeting in order to prevent and negate that on enter. Because Displace removes it from play and then brings it back, this also works with suppress effects, but because it removes it from play and brings it back, you now have this Brisk Windtrotter as a new object. The Stifling Trap fizzles, and then the Brisk Windtrotter, because it left and came back, triggers again. So you get 2 on enters. You see this a lot with Dungeon Guide in the Seiryu decks, where you go to Stifling Trap their Dungeon Guide, and then they just displace it, or suppress it, or escape the wreckage it, to still get their on enter and get some additional value out of it. Opponent's going Thurible. Opponent's on 2 influence. Really, you know, throwing Stifling Traps, throwing the Topsy Decree, having to pay 3 to level up. It's really weighed on her influence. And so, not a whole lot that I have to play around here. I don't think there's enough prep for a lethal Shadow Strike either. I think it's like 8 prep, so it's close. But without the shadows, actually, if you make Shadow's Claw here and you have 8 prep, you could try. It's pretty unlikely that it would go off. Looking at my hand, I have Veiling ×2 and an in cap, so yeah, I mean, I'm pretty safe here. But if you're looking at this board, it might just be, okay, I gotta go for it. And so, goes after the Windtrotter. I decided to Verdigris because she had played 2 cakes at this point. I would not have done the Verdigris if the swing came first, because, like I said, Shadow Strike is lethal with the amount of prep that my opponent has. I think it's 8. If I'm wrong about that, then that might not have even mattered. But I think it's 8, and so I would have held up. Oh no, I guess I still held Veiling Breeze there. No, yeah, I would have. I like the way I played that out. I think it's fine. And yeah, that's just enough to push for lethal. 5 + 6 + 1 is plenty, and opponent had nothing. So side deck, I'm bringing in Peer Beyond, Innervate Agility, and Crystallized Destiny. These cards are good against the big damage Shadow Strikes, as well as the stealth that Tristan can get with Innervate Agility. And I'm taking out largely Zhang Jiao, Fluffy Shopkeep, and Trained Hawk. Those cards don't do a whole lot. Trained Hawk is mostly for Cheshire Cat decks. I've actually decided after this night that I'm going to move it to the side. Fluffy Shopkeep doesn't care if they have unblockable, or it doesn't matter if they have unblockable. And then Zhang Jiao, not super great into a deck that runs Stifling Traps, as well as oh my goodness, I had the in cap for the unmake again. That's I swear I'm not stacking. And then I think I had to cut like 1 or 2 more cards, and because I had cut the Fluffies and the Trained Hawks already, I cut a Kind Beast Caller because I have way less targets in the deck. I think I could have sided a little differently. I also changed up my sideboard plan a little bit after this evening, after doing some discussion. I definitely don't think Trained Hawk's really good against Cheshire Cat, but I don't think it's a main deck card. And so the one that I'm going to be trying is Green Slime, but I'll talk about that a little bit in the future. So pretty standard start here. It was negate your unmake again, and then you go for Surveil. I'm sitting on Baby Green, Displace, and was that other in cap in my hand? Taking a sip of the Arizona. I didn't realize that I had like I wasn't even thinking about the head cam while I was like snacking and drinking and stuff. So I'll be more cognizant of that in the future. We got Windblast Lookout, so that's 3 prep already. Slice and Dice definitely on the table. Always scary versus Tristan deck when that can happen. It is second in cap, so I drew both in caps this game. Just nice like that, I guess. Thinking about the possibility of leveling, I think the only bad hit here is Asen. Hopefully, yeah. So like Zephyr's kind of whatever, and then it's because I have the Baby Green. I don't think this is terribly greedy. It is bad if she Stifling Trapped my baby green there. Like, it's bad, but it's not catastrophic. I do have to lay a lot for ace in here, but I don't think you'd not, like, that baby green was getting stiflinged if there was a Stifling Trap, right? Like, it was definitely getting stiflinged on the prereq when I went hands down. So I'm just not even gonna hesitate. I'm just gonna play the ace in. Reclaim on the Wind Bless. I did go for it. It's another thing, right, where it's just like, I'm gonna go for it. My opponent showed in game 1 that she likes to go Windwalker Boots second. So the Reclaim's in the graveyard again. I don't think I Thurible here because I'm only on 2 cards in hand, which is kind of my bad. I feel like I didn't do card economy math terribly good this game. I missed what was played. Oh, another Wind Bless, right? Because it's the sort of, not another one, it's the same one, but it was reclaimed. So end step Windwalker Boots trigger. We're sitting on like 5 prep right now. This is quite scary. As much as I'd like to go Thurible here with 2 cards in hand, it doesn't make sense to. So Tengu, we're gonna try to get to the cat pretty quickly. I think that's the only way. I have Baby Green in rotation. Baby Green plus Tengu, you can generate a ton of quest counters if you want. Like, what I could do here is, yeah, I could go Baby Green and then hold priority and Fate Stone the Baby Green. Alternatively, just Baby Green and the Tengu is a lot of counters as well, and then just hold up the 4 cards to do it on my opponent's turn to suppress something, which, yeah, I think that's just better. Straight to Tristan level 2. Yeah, I mean, with all that prep and a float to spend with it, this is absolutely the right decision. Don't think you can really argue with this. Loses the Slice and Dice. That Slice and Dice is really scary, actually. And another Surveil. Yeah, I gotta be really wary. Do I have any defense against, like, Shadow Strike? In hand, I don't. I do in the deck. Like, I have Innervate Agility and I have all that good stuff, so. Hopefully I can dig into that, because, I mean, a DG here is pretty dang scary. Honestly, is DG Shadow Strike just lethal if I don't have an answer? It might be. Alright, Freak Market Broker. Going up to more prep. I saw Shadow Strike in my opponent's hand, so quite likely that I'm in danger. I'm up to 4, and I think that's like 9. It's at least 9 prep. It might be 10. You're gonna get a Boots trigger too. So I'm going. This is probably end of main. Yeah, with opponent with 2 cards in hand, I'm not scared of her doing anything else. This is probably end of main, yeah. In that similar vein. Though, oh yeah, no, she's only level 2. Yeah, that I think the only card that screws me there is Mercenary's Blade, because I did it end of main, I could have lost the Baby Green to a Mercenary's Blade, but with 2 cards in hand, nothing else really scared me there. I was gonna say Shadow's Claw, but she's not Umbra yet. So we got the Fate Stone coming back at the end of next turn. I'm pretty confident I'm gonna just have 8 quest counters. Do I have a command in hand? It looks like no. So Byakko doesn't actually do me a whole lot of favors with my opponent only being a 3, but I think I gotta hope I draw into it at this point. Terrafring, because I suspect that I'm in mortal peril this turn. I think my opponent's only on like 6 influence. So Terrafring could protect me from the shadows and such. Opponent's taking a long think on this Materialize. And it ends up being Backup Charger. 2 cards in hand. I guess you could crack the Boots to draw a card. That's probably what she ends up doing. Yeah, cracks the Boots, draw a card. Crack the Backup Charger. That's quite a bit of influence now. She was at 6, so 7, 8, 9. 9 influence now is quite a good deal scarier. And I start doing the math, and yeah, absolutely terrifying. If this is DG plus Shadow Strike, it's like 9 prep plus 4 plus 1 from the weapon is 14. And then the shadows, and then the black market broker. If I don't Terrafring, I'm in danger. But Terrafring might be the difference maker if she has to pay 2 for each additional attack. Shadow Strike will then effectively cost 4. So DG Shadow Strike becomes a lot harder. It's like all you can do, basically. And just DG Shadow Strike was 1 short of lethal, I believe. I believe she's at 9 prep. And this Shadow Dancer would go to 10. And then Shadow's Claw plus Shadow Strike. No, actually, that's lethal anyways, so... Oh, no. So, yes. It is lethal, but I could suppress the Shadow's Claw and make it do 18. So, that was the math that I did here. This is 10 prep. Now, see, that's a lot more prep. I can't let that one happen. I gotta in-cap that. But without a Mastermind Scheme, with the Terrafring, it would have been 2 plus 2 to Shadow Strike, which is 10 prep plus 4 is 14, plus the Shadow's Claw is 15. Maybe my opponent goes for it, but then I have the Fate Stone to suppress the Shadow's Claw and live with 1. And if my opponent went for it, with the onboard trick, I mean, you know, that would feel bad. But it was an option that I had, where if my opponent goes for it, I don't die, and then I maybe draw into Byakko's command and get enough damage on the crackback. As it stands, though, I'm still in a pretty bad spot. We're going to get the chip damage in with the baby. Looking at my hand, I have Crystallized. Crystallized is pretty good. But I think... So, I got Scattering Gusts. I could kill both the shadows. I have Crystallized. I have Zephyr. So I have a few options here. Blinding Orb comes down. What am I on? I'm on 9 cards in hand. So 9 cards is a 4 and a 3 that I can cast. Shadow Strike gets banished from my opponent. I know that she's never laying it unless she has another one. So I'm pretty sure Shadow Strike is here. Blinding Orb is cracked. Now I'm only on 7 cards, so I can play a 3 and a 2. So I can play Crystallized and Zephyr. Not great, though, because, again, with 4 counters... With 4 counters... Or, excuse me, not 4, 10 counters. With 10 counters, that's 14 damage. And the Shadow's Claw is the same lethal as last time. So, just sends it. This has got to be Shadow Strike, right? I'm like so sure it's Shadow Strike. I mean, I was here. I guess I should know if it was Shadow Strike. But yeah, that's Shadow Strike. A little bit of deliberation and just says, yeah, send it. Because I honestly don't even think you're dying on the crackback. I guess Byakko's command makes it very possible that you die, but this is Shadow Strike for X equals 9, yeah. So this is 13, 14 with the claw. So, and then there's Broker on board too, and DG. But I have Asen to block the Broker and the DG. So I go for the Crystallized. I think it gets incapped. And then I go for the Zephyr on the Claw, but it's still 13, and then 2 from the Shadows is exactly 19. I do recall here, I had Verdigris instead of Zephyr. Verdigris instead of Zephyr. If I didn't get Blinding Orbed, I could have Verdigris to kill both the Shadows, because you can suppress one and then destroy target Fantasia on the other. And so if I could Verdigris instead of Zephyr, I would have taken 1 extra from the Shadow's Claw that would have still been there, but 2 less from the Shadows, and I would have survived at 18. So the Blinding Orb actually made a pretty big difference there. Kind of an intense game. It was pretty cool. All right, going into game 3, I get to go first. Looking at this hand, I don't love it. I have a Crystallized Destiny. I have no real value generator. And so I'm just like, all right, let me see let me see how this plan works. And this plan in this case is the beatdown. I feel like I lost in Pennsylvania because I wasn't aggressive enough against the Tristan player. I think I tried to play a value game, and then there are just value hands for Tristan that draw so much better than me. And so I was like, let's learn and let's see how getting on board early and like wide feels. So I just slammed the Grove Sword. I have a displace if they decide to like commit and go for it with something, you know, probably not a Sadie because they would trade, but you know, something like a Windmill Asen, go for the Grove Sword. I had a displace to protect her. So now I went Thurible to draw an extra card. So now I'm on 8 cards, which is Brisk Windtrotter plus Asen, which is pretty sick. Brisk Windtrotter is going to make my Grove Sword a 3/3. I'm still holding Displace as well. So again, playing around Stifling Trap with the Displace. And then I have the option to slam Asen here. I think I do. And, you know, if it's a Stifling Trap, it's a Stifling Trap. No, I decide to play safe. When I have cards in hand, the Stifling Trap might be reserved from my opponent, but once I go hands down, the Stifling to stop the Asen from picking up the Brisk Windtrotter is too juicy, I think. I think they would do it for sure at that point. And so I'm still holding the Displace on the Trotter, so if they try to go for it, I have... And there was a Stifling Trap, look at that. So I think I did make the right play here. Because just like before, when my opponent goes for my Trotter, I have Displace. Now I thought with Displace, she might have a Stifling Trap behind this. So like I go for Displace, and then you Stifling Trap on top of the Displace, but not the case. So I actually get my Grove Sword up to a 4/4 here. And this is also a rare game where I did not go Guoja immediately. I think just looking at my hand, this was a Wind Allies hand. And I was just like, all right, you know, this is the thing to do with it. Asen comes down. I think if I were in my opponent's shoes here, I would probably swing the Asen into the Windtrotter. It's getting gobbled up by the Grove Sword anyways. So I think I would have went for the Windtrotter. I'm only on 2 in hand, so it's likely it's almost impossible that I could save it. And I really like this play here. I really like that I went Terrafring here. The likelihood that my opponent can deal with my board with a Terrafring in play is like actually 0. Reclaim on Asen. Well, with Reclaim, I would have definitely went into the Windtrotter, because you're going to bounce the Asen anyways. I guess you didn't want to take 4 damage. Yeah. No, you know what? That makes sense. You don't want to take 4 damage here, because the pressure is immense with this board. Shoot, I might even slam this Windtrotter again just to put a buff counter on Asen. My opponent being only on 1 in hand. I think I'm doing the math right now. Sheesh, I have another Asen in hand. I have so much beatdown here. Yeah, horse time. Put it on the Asen. Incoming 4/5. My board is a bunch of Gildas cosplays. Or I guess like Lancelot cosplays. Opponent up to 10. That's a level up. And then I got Terrafring here. My board is pretty dang safe. I know my opponent has Windmill Asen, but even if they Windmill Asen, they could swing both into the Grove Sword to try to kill it, which I don't even know if they have the cards for with Terrafring active. Or it can be Windmill, kill the Windtrotter, and then Asen can't kill either of my other 2 allies. Feeling pretty comfy here. We were laughing a lot during this game. I was like, this is the game of all time right now. This is like... I did not realize how beefy of a board this deck could make this fast. And so, kind of coming off of this series, one thing I'm definitely thinking about in the future is like, do certain hands just say, you know, hold forward and just try to win the game without even using too much of Guoja's like suppress shenanigans. Okay, it is Windblessed Lookout for my opponent. Slice and Dice is on the table now. We got 2 prep already. One from the Wind Bless, one from Tristan. So just like a Surveil is always something that can, or like Asen to bounce this. So next turn, just like Surveil plus Wind Bless plus Ripper could be Slice and Dice for 15. Like I could just die. Oh, I could leave my Asen standing. Maybe I shouldn't have leveled here. I could have maybe just left my Asen standing and said, like, you know, hey, if you got Slice and Dice, you got to get through this guy. Just use the Grove Sword to kill their Asen. Leave Asen standing. Still be a Spirit. And then just, like, materialize GCR or something. That might have been good, actually. I have 2 more Grove Swords in hand. I would have been on +2 cards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I would have been on 8 cards in hand. I could have put 2 more Grove Swords down. Yeah, I could have Grove Sword to kill the Asen. And I could have put 2 more Grove Sword down and still been a Spirit. I don't know. That's kind of gnarly. That might have actually been the play. Opponent's already 14. So it would have been 15, 16, 17, 18. Oh, yeah, that was another point of discussion here that we had is I was actually 1-off lethal here. Because if I just activated Fatestone to move their Asen out of the way, I was swinging for face with the Grove Sword, so that was 18, but I could not find 1 additional damage. But I was almost just at lethal here. She's going to go up into Tristan 2 just to keep health total accessible. Totally reasonable, right? I decided to pass because I can play a Grove Sword at fast speed, or I can just use my Fatestone to save something should my opponent go for it. Flipping the Ensnaring Fumes off the Fairy Whispers, though. Ensnaring Fumes, pretty good card in this situation. Little Wreck Draw. I think I'm on 7 in hand, 6 in hand. I'm on 6 in hand. DG. DG's before the Ensnaring Fumes. We talked about this interaction as well. It might have been better to just rip the Ensnaring Fumes. Like, go another turn cycle, rip the Ensnaring Fumes, and then DG after so that you could keep your shadows. I think, in hindsight, looking at this game, that did not matter. I don't think having the shadows here would have mattered terribly much. I think, you know, I can just Fatestone them away. I can Scattering Gust them. I think I have a Scattering Gust in hand. No, I do not. I actually have 0 Suppress effects in hand. I only have Activate Fatestone. Though she's only on like 3 prep right now because we had to rush to Shadow Dancer. See what the play is. I think it's 3 prep. It might be 4 prep. It was Tristan 1, Windblessed Lookout, Surveil, and Shadow Dancer. Okay, it's 4 prep, so Shadow's Claw is an option. You could use Shadow's Claw to go for one of my allies here. They're both 4/5s. So Shadow's Claw plus 2 from a Shadow plus 2 from a Shadow is 5 damage. Yeah, definitely a deep think. Definitely a deep think. And I mean, it's tough. Like, you misstep here, you die. I have 10... No, sorry. 8 damage on board right now. So a misstep is death here. It is Windblessed Lookout to go up to what I think is 5 prep. Maybe it's 4 prep. Glimpse that to the bottom. 3 cards left in hand. Shadow's Claw. Yes. So yeah, looking like gonna go for Shadow's Claw, and then 2 from a Shadow, and then 2 from a Shadow. I think I suppressed the Claw here, and I'm not sure if that's right. Because, okay, I do suppress the Claw. Would it have been better to suppress a Shadow? Because you go Claw 1, Other Shadow 2, Suppress a Shadow. And then I guess they can swing with both the 1s. Yeah, I guess I had to suppress the Claw to keep my allies alive. Makes sense. GCR, draw Scattering Gust. Super good draw there. All right, we're going to get the quest counters rolling, get the Fate Stone suppressed. I'm not on that many cards, though. Is this, what, 6 cards still? 7. So I have Scattering Gust that can get rid of the shadows, so I think... we talk about the Ensnaring Fumes play that comes in like a couple actions. I think it's just, yes, you lost your shadows to the Ensnaring Fumes. Yeah, there it is. You lose your shadows to the Ensnaring Fumes here, but like they were gone anyways. If I just Scattering Gusts, which was gonna come in a turn or two anyways. And then I just decided to pass here. I could play Grove Sword at fast speed. I don't need to expose anything. My opponent goes to Thurible. Again, this was a low prep game for her. So I'm not that threatened right now. But that can change really quickly. All it takes is, you know, a couple prep gens and then like a mastermind scheme, and I'm potentially dead. Or similarly, a Slice and Dice line only needs 3 to 4 prep. Once you're Shadow Dancer, Slice and Dice, you know, it's 9 base, and then Shadow's Claw hits for probably one of them, so it's 10. And then the 2 Shadows each hit for 2, so that's 14. Slice and Dice as Shadow Dancer is really threatening to a level 1 champion. Ooh, Sporel, that's right. Sporel comes up this game. Honestly, one of my favorite cards. Sporel is so strong. Do not sleep on this card. She does so much. She's hard to play with, but once you kind of understand how Sporel works, she is so freaking strong. Is this just Wind Bless coming back down? We do got to get that prep gen. No, it looks like it's just hit you with Shadow's Claw. Or hit me with Shadow's Claw, rather. I go to 6. A little scary. Again, Sporel does 3 damage every time she activates as well. I think this is end step. End step, I bring down Baby Green, target my Fate Stone, and I wanted to activate my Fate Stone in response to the Baby Green, which is a loop that lets you generate a bunch of quest counters. But then I realized I can't save my Baby Green if Sporel goes for it when I go for that. If I go for the Fate Stone activation, and then she goes, activate Sporel, deal 3 to Baby Green, I just don't have a way to save the Baby Green. Where in this case, I can at least Scattering Gust it. Not pretty, but I can Scattering Gust it if she ended up going for it. Or Verdigris Decree, I guess, is in my hand too. Verdigris also doing a pretty good job there. Draw Dream Fairy right on time. Could not slam a Dream Fairy faster into this Sporel. I don't really know what the right number to be under Sporel is in this matchup. 2 is Byakko's command, right? But there's a lot of other cards that matter. 4 is Asen. 4 is Scattering Gusts. 3 is a couple suppress effects. So it does end up being a 3 here with the Dungeon Guide, which I'm not sure if it was selected because it was a 3 or just because it's like, yeah, I'm not playing this card, so let me put it under Sporel. I feel like it might be the latter. But yeah, Sporel protecting herself by countering the Dream Fairy, sending it back to my memory. We could kind of do that on loop. And then my hand is not great after that happens. I'm only on 6 cards. I can't get enough damage down to kill Sporel. Like, I could Grove Sword, and that's it. And I can Asen into the Baby Green. Oh, I think Sporel's actually pointing her 3 at the Baby Green here, while I have no Fate Stone. Which is really unfortunate, because then I'm like, okay, do I save the Baby Green with Verdigris? I end up on nothing. I don't even get a quest counter because my Fate Stone's suppressed. Yeah, so I actually just let it go. It feels so bad to lose Baby Green there. That's the mind game that you can do with Sporel. You can put the card under her face up. I did not play like I knew it was a 2, though. I think that's not fun, right, for anybody. Curious, though, to switch from the 3 to the 2. In a tournament, I would assume that was a 3 again every single time, because the Dream Fairy is in rotation, and, you know, as soon as you don't put a 3 under there, the Dream Fairy is going to push Sporel back into memory. Though I guess... God, Sporel is so good, because even if Dream Fairy is targeting Sporel, like, enters, resolves, targets Sporel, Sporel can just activate, target the Dream Fairy, kill it, and then you could just play Sporel again next turn because the Dream Fairy lock is off. And this card is so hard. It's so deceptively hard to deal with. And it's just a clock by itself. It does 3 damage every turn cycle. It's so good. Like I said, it's one of my favorite cards. I would, if you play an Umbra deck and you have not played Sporel yet, please try it. It's so strong. It's good in every Umbra deck. Kind of rambled there a little bit. It looks like it was just a pretty slow turn from opponent here. I'm thinking about activating Fate Stone. Yeah, I talked about this a little bit earlier. This is end step. I thought about activating Fate Stone end of main, but because Shadow Strike would just kill me, I had to just go end step. Because I think Shadow Strike plus Sporel activation kills me here. I don't remember the exact amount of prep. And I go Safeguard Amulet. I didn't play Fluffy this game, so I didn't ditch Safeguard, and it's actually relevant here because my opponent is on Sporel. Don't love the landscape of my hand here. Just got a couple dudes. Drew into a Peer Beyond, which I like in this matchup. Stealth is something that Tristan has the capability of doing. I am going to get Byakko flip next turn, and I have Command. So in my head, this turn is all about just like survive. Maybe we get to next turn. Hopefully she doesn't have another Ensnaring Fumes, and we can go for it next turn. I think if she has an Ensnaring Fumes at this point, I cannot win. Because Sporel is just ticking away for 3. She doesn't have to commit anything. And as soon as I like go and like go for it, and if Ensnaring Fumes is there, I lose. And so yeah, it's I actually really don't like my hand here either. Mastermind's a scheme, a little scary. I do have Crystallized Destiny though, so looking at this hand, right, talking about Crystallized Destiny, Sporel can just have a 3 under her to stop Crystallized Destiny. But with the way I've set it up, that's why I have to hold my whole hand, is I have the option to suppress Sporel before I play Crystallized Destiny. So suppress Sporel, she would probably activate in response, I take 3, and then I Crystallize Destiny to Shadow Strike. So feeling pretty safe here. And my opponent just goes to end step, gets some boots. And there was a window, but I think if my opponent sent Shadow Strike, now if they had Shadow Strike and Incap and activate Sporel, which I'm not sure if they did, I probably couldn't win. But we're gonna go to level 2. We're gonna get 2 quest counters. I'm kind of seeing the writing on the wall here, and this to me is like I have to just win here. So we make a Grove Sword. I would say this is mostly just to try to kill Sporel, or get my opponent to activate Sporel, because I don't want that Sporel to have a 2 under her and stop my Byakko's command. So we play second Grove Sword. He is going to think about activating something. This is me asking if you wanted to do it on the first activation. She says no. Activate Sporel, show the DG, deal 3 to the Grove Sword. And I asked, do you want to counter one of the Grove Swords? Like, do you want to do the show 3 in response to the Grove Sword, or do you want to let both resolve and then shoot one? You know, there's merit to both options. Option 1 is I have a Grove Sword in play, and one less card in my influence. Option 2 is I don't have a Grove Sword in play, but the card is in my influence again, so I have another card to play with this turn. Sporel is tapped now, though, so no 2 could potentially be under it to stop Byakko's command. I lose to Ensnaring Fumes, but I think for the rest of the game I lose to Ensnaring Fumes. So I think in hindsight, I still think I have to go for it here. In the moment, I absolutely was just like, yeah, I gotta go for it here. And so we flip the Fate Stone. First appearance of Byakko all match. Just been ally beatdown beforehand. Coming in for 6. Hopefully no Ensnaring Fumes. I have no in cap for the Ensnaring Fumes. If it's Fumes, you know, c'est la vie. It cracks the Blinding Orb, which makes me a little scared. If I had in cap, that Blinding Orb would have taken away in cap plus command, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, I would still have in cap plus command, which all I need is command here. Boots also getting cracked, so now I'm feeling pretty good. This is just digging. And then it's not Fumes, because we're laying cards. I think Fumes has to be prep counters. Okay, it's Innervate Agility. That feels really good for me. It goes down to 9. And then with Innervate Agility, I'm like, all right, I'm chilling. Peer Beyond. Give Byakko True Sight. And then I have 6 plus 7, so I don't want to risk anything crazy. In cap, this is why I play Peer Beyond, though, because if I don't have Censor out, I can just Ephemerate it. It is in cap proof, and in cap was the last card she was able to play. So Byakko's command is 7 plus 7, which is 14, which puts you at 23, which is enough for lethal. Super close game, super fun game there. GG's. To my opponent, of course. I really appreciate the games. All right, what an ending. A lot of the cards that I changed in the deck came through. Incapacitate was great. Peer Beyond was a great side deck choice. Some of the other cuts I wasn't really feeling the pain of. We still found Byakko's command in 2 of the games. We still were able to use Zhang Jiao, I think, to pretty reasonable effect. I maybe misscout the land a little bit. I did cut that. I did cut that as well. We'll have to see kind of how it feels going forward. Thank you so much for watching, though. I hope you enjoyed. If you like this kind of content, definitely let me know with a comment below. And like and a subscribe go a long way. If you have any decks you want to see in Deck Tech Tuesday and then Locals Longplay, let me know. And yeah, be good to one another. Play GA, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.